Hey guys, welcome back. It's been a while. I'm officially back in the studio today after a couple of weeks. Just took a little holiday break. I know that I owe you guys a couple of videos. I need to show you some pictures, some examples, some film shots. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and show what's in my fridge, just a little bit of what's in my film stock, what different film stocks I'm shooting with, and all that stuff. So go ahead and enjoy. Let me know if you have any questions or comments below. If you have any requests for content you'd like to see, videos you'd like me to make. Usually if you ask a question, I'll basically just create a video for it. But yeah, thanks again for checking in. And if this is your first time, my name is Dennis Coronel. I am a wedding photographer based out of Los Angeles. Welcome. Enjoy.
Okay, so I'll start by sharing what's in my film Tupperware. So this guy lives in the fridge. Interestingly, this is not what my fridge looked like a few years ago when I was shooting a lot of film for client work, medium format. Basically, you would only find Portrait 400 or Portrait 800 in medium format 120, and that's it. And now I have this little medley of film stocks here that I'm going to go through with you guys and just kind of show you what's currently in my film bag or film fridge. And I haven't used all of these film stocks yet. But again, I'm just kind of ushering this new era or this resurgence of film in my workflow. It's been about a little over 2 years since I last incorporated film into my professional workflow. So this is going to be fun. Again, another chapter. Sorry about that. So let's go through that. So quickly, here we have Instax wide, and this is going to be used with my Lomography Instax wide camera. Now, how often I use this is not that often, to be honest. Although I've taken it with me on wedding shoots, overseas. I think it's just a big camera to be lugging around, and I'm all about being efficient and keeping a small footprint. And I don't like to have a heavy bag, so I don't foresee this guy being used for professional work too often. I tend to leave it in the studio, and when I have clients coming in, I'll snap a few and I'll gift it to them right then and there. Sometimes I'll hold on to them and I'll scan them so that I have some content to share on social media and my website, and then I'll just mail them out later. But this is what I use. There's Instax wide from Fujifilm, and then there's also a black and white film stock that I've used in the past. Not really too stoked about those tones. It's a little too cool for me. I would want something a little bit more neutral. So there's that. Next up, we have a disposable point and shoot from Kodak. So this is basically 800 speed film, and it gives you 27 frames. This guy I will be taking to work with me. Just keep it in my pocket. But also just for personal stuff, just to have it, for my wife, my daughter, the family, just being out and about and just having this and not having to think about whether I nailed a shot or not really caring. This is a great thing to have. All right, let's get into this film stock. This is new. Just ordered it from a Moment website, and I discovered this film stock on their website. I knew nothing about it before then. So this is P30 from Ferrania, and this is supposed to be not just repurposed but modified, or I think it might be repurposed film stock from Italy. So just kind of the old school Italian films, black and white films like 8.5 were shot with this film stock. Very punchy, high in contrast, very dramatic cinematic lighting. Or tones, I'm sorry. So it'll be interesting to see how I incorporate this into my wedding workflow. And I think that I'm going to be deploying this film stock for my next wedding in January. So stay tuned for updates on that. Let's see here. I have Portrait 400 in 120. So this guy is only going to be used with my Pentax 6.7, which is my only remaining medium format camera. My very first camera was a Pentax 645, and that's what I learned to shoot film on. I did not start on 35mm film. I started with medium format and loading a Pentax 645 N2 with a 75mm lens as well as a 45. And I bought this sometime after that, and I don't use this that much. I Thought that I would incorporate this into my studio workflow. I just haven't done so in a while. I haven't shot medium format film in a very long time. I don't want to really bring this with me on a wedding day. However, I do have a client next year who requested this camera specifically. They saw me shooting it at a wedding some years ago and they loved the results. And so I will be bringing this camera with me for that client, but this is just not something that I shoot anymore. It doesn't really fit into my workflow or necessarily the aesthetic that I'm going for. So it'll be interesting to see how I incorporate this camera into my current aesthetic and how I shoot on the day. So that'll be fun. And especially having these big and large negatives next to my Leica files is going to be pretty sweet. I did shoot this. I did take this with me to Guatemala earlier this year for a wedding. So actually that was the last time that I shot medium format, again, for another special bride who requested some film and wanted a medium format. So when you know your stuff and you want medium format, this is the guy that comes with me. You're only getting 10 frames per roll. So you're missing out on the additional 6 just because of the size of that negative. All right, let's see, what do we have here? We have this new case from Kodak, and I have all of my Portra 400 in here, and I'm gonna be talking about which cameras this is gonna be going, this is gonna be getting used in just a bit. But yeah, pretty sweet, nice and rugged. You can throw this anywhere and, get abused and you know that your film will be safe. Not necessarily the lightest thing to carry with you, so maybe not the best for an everyday carry. Again, maybe if you want to put it in your backpack or your camera bag, or just somewhere where you're not afraid of it getting tossed around, this is great. But just know that you are adding a little bit of weight to your kit. Okay. This is 120 case from Japan Camera Hunter. So this is where my Portra 800 and Portra 400 live for my medium format film. So whenever I know that I'm going to take that with me, this gets thrown in my camera bag. And so it's plastic, nice and light, easy to open. I don't have to fumble around with any latches like the other Kodak case. All right, and then I have a black and white disposable from Kodak. So this is 400 speed and it's a TX film stock. This is pretty fun. This one, again, when you just wanna be a little bit more nostalgic and get some timeless imagery, this is the way to go. And when you don't want to really think about what you're doing, you just want to literally point it and shoot it, this is a solid camera to have with you. All right, and now again, let me see. We have a different brand from Kodak. This is a Fun Saver. So this has, how many exposures does this give you? Let me see really quickly. This gives you 27 exposures as well as the other Kodak. I forgot what they said the difference was. I think that I think the flash is stronger in this one is what the guy at Sammy's told me. Other than that, the branding and the packaging is a little bit different. I don't remember, or I don't know the technical differences between this. I'm sure there's YouTube videos online that you can check out, but again, same purpose. And look at this. So we have Cinestill, XR 100, Ilford 3200, and T-Max 3200, and some, more rolls of that. So I haven't shot Cinestill in a very long time, and I've never shot it in 35 millimeters. So I've only shot Cinestill 800T in medium format film, and those results were inconsistent. There was obviously the halation, but there was also some shocks throughout the frames, which I understand is basically, it looks like a lightning bolt running through the frame, and that's very, it's just not really pleasing when you're using it for client work. So this will be fun to see how it shoots in the daytime. I've seen a lot of YouTube videos with this film stock being shot during the day, and I love those results, so I'm gonna test it out myself. XR 100. I have shot this film stock before. I think maybe on 1 or 2 occasions I've shot it in medium format. This will be my first time shooting in 35 millimeter. Just a film stock with some pretty colors, some nice saturation and some fine grain. It's a 100 ISO film stock, so this will be great. I'll be popping it in later on today in my point and shoot, which I'll talk about in just a moment. to test out to see how this looks. And Ilford 3200 and T-Max 3200. I have not personally shot these film stocks, but I have had assistants shoot expired T-Max for me before, and I love those results and I love the grain. So this is going to be fun to see how I shoot this. If I pop it in my point and shoot, it'll automatically default to 1000 ISO, which is great because the film stock is, I believe, a native 800 ISO that you can push up to 3200 if I'm not mistaken. You can absolutely correct me in the comments. I am not a technical photographer. I don't know all the ins and outs of the film stocks. I think for these two, I'm just gonna throw them in my point and shoot and go from there and see what the results are. And finally, just a little bit of show and tell again. I made a video with, this is my latest film camera. This is my Nikon AF600. This is going to be coming with me everywhere. So this has officially become my very, very, very first everyday camera. Never, ever have I taken a camera with me everywhere I go. As a working photographer, I like to leave work there and just kind of live my life and experience life through my own eyes without seeing it through a viewfinder. But as of late, I have been picking this camera up and bringing it with me. It's just so easy to put into a pocket. I stick it into a little cloth bag. It does come with a pouch, but it's so old that some of the adhesive on top of the stitching has begun to rub off, and I've had to use Glue Gun to clean this up here. So unfortunately, I will not be using that leather pouch that it came in, although it's just super cool and neat and branded. So like I mentioned, I'm going to be throwing the Ektar 100 in here later today. I'm going to be spending the day with my wife, and we'll just be out and about. And it'll be nice to see what that film stock looks like. I have a few frames left of the Portra 400 in here, so I'm just going to finish that off. This is my first test roll in this camera, but I'm going to continue testing. I'm not afraid of throwing film stocks in here, film rolls, and seeing what happens. And now on to my other film camera. So before that, this was my latest film camera. 35mm FTB. This is a consumer grade film camera. So the AE1, I believe, was marketed towards, to be more of a professional working camera. So this is going to be a little bit larger than the AE1 program and a little heavier as well. So I brought this with me on a wedding shoot not too long ago, but I handed it over to my second shooter to work with. I don't know that I care for the workflow, of it. I think that if I'm going to be shooting 35mm, I'll probably be sticking to the point and shoot from now on, especially for what I'm trying to accomplish. I have my Leicas on me, so if I want to get the shot, I'll use those. And if I want to have a little bit more fun, I'm going to be using my point and shoot. This one is a little bit too clinical as it's fully manual, so I don't really necessarily want to think about all those things. So for those reasons, I'm not sure that I'm going to be bringing this out with me anymore. I might just keep it in there again to just hand it to a second shooter who knows how to operate one of these. But besides that, it might just stay at home. Next up is this EOS 3. So this is my first 35mm film camera that I purchased. I had two of these. One was gifted to me by a former client, which was amazing and mint condition, and I happened to at the same time order one from Japan, which is also in mint condition. So I kept the gift and I sold the one that I had purchased. So I went to a good home. So I had no reason to have two of these. So again, for the same reason as the other one, this guy, if I'm going to be doing autofocus and if it's going to be clean and sharp, I think I'm just going to stick to my Leicas. I don't need film to be clean. I don't need it to be sharp. I don't need it to be pretty or gorgeous. I need it to be film. I need it to have character and nuance. And for those reasons, I think I'm going to be sticking to just shooting the Nikon AF600 on work days for my 35mm purposes. And if I need medium format, again, I have my Pentax 6.7, which is basically the best possible medium format image I can get paired with that 105. So that's it. That's it for my show and tell today. I hope you enjoyed that, and you can see what's in my fridge and what I'm currently working with. I haven't shot a lot of this film, so it's going to be fun to see what the results are, and I'll be sure to share those results with you all. I know that I owe you guys a couple of videos with some images, so I'll be working on those this week for you guys and upload them as soon as they're ready. All right, thanks for joining.